We are here with Mr. John Buckley. He's the Managing Director of SafariLink. Mr. John, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. I wanted to ask you about the tourism sector in Kenya and the increase of number of tourists from the Middle East countries. What is your take on this increasing number of tourists from the Middle East countries to Kenya?
I think it's been triggered in part by the increased number of flights from the Middle East to Kenya. We used to have Kenya Airways and Emirates. Now we have Etihad, Qatar, the Air Arabia out of Sharjah. So there's a vast increase in the number of frequencies each week, and that makes it easier for anybody from the Middle East to come to Kenya and East Africa in general. And Fly Dubai is starting into Uganda shortly, and I expect that Nairobi or Mombasa will be next on their list.
There has been a big transformation in the outbound tourist traffic from the Middle East, especially in the last decade after 9/11. And similarly, we are noticing that there has been some very dramatic developments in the East African tourism market, specifically talking about the single entry visa for tourists into East African community countries. How do you see that impacting the East Africa tourism sector as a whole?
I think it's too early to, it's only been running for approximately a year. I think that at the moment, Tanzania is not included in it. And traditionally, the two destination holiday safari has always been Kenya and Tanzania. So I don't think we're going to see the full benefit till Tanzania's, and it becomes a 4-country visa. At the moment, the advantage, the commercial, or the value to the tourist is not so good, because most people only go to 2 destinations. So if you're paying for 3, you're paying for the third one that you don't actually use, and it's cheaper to actually buy it just for the 2 individual countries. So I think we have to refine it. I think the principle is good, make it easy to travel across the borders, save time, but there's 1 or 2 practicalities that still need to be ironed out. So the jury is out, I think, on the benefits, long-term benefits of it.
Since you've been in the tourism market for a long time here, what would be your message to tourists from the Middle East wanting to come to Kenya for a holiday?
Come and enjoy it. It's a unique experience, the wildlife, the scenery, and the Kenyans are very friendly people. They really like to help and serve, make your experience unique. Don't be worried about any concerns about things like Ebola. Ebola is on the west coast of Africa. It's closer to Madrid in Spain than it is to Nairobi. And we haven't had any cases, so Ebola is... we obviously have to be cautious. Everybody does traveling nowadays, but it's not of concern. Security situation, we have had some problems, it's no denying that. But there is in areas that are several hundred kilometers away from the nearest place where tourists tend to go. There's no tourist going up against the border with Somalia. That's not a tourist. The game parks are perfectly safe. We haven't had a tourist incident for several years. So don't be worried. Come and enjoy it. It's great.
Can you tell us a little bit about SafariLink and the services that you offer?
Yes, the whole purpose of SafariLink is that we are an airline that is geared very heavily towards the tourist industry, and we have a network of interconnecting scheduled services that go between all the major game parks in Kenya and also down to the coast and across into northern Tanzania. So you can do what is commonly called in the industry fly-drive safaris. You fly between the game parks, and then you use the vehicles in the lodges to do your game drive, and then you move on to the next game park with minimum wasted time driving between them. And it makes a very efficient use of your 6 days, 9 days, whatever you want to come to Kenya for. It's the road, because the roads in Kenya out of the city are not the world's best. and they can be quite tiring, particularly people of my age and the older generation, bouncing around on rough roads. And then you don't want to do a game drive. By flying and arriving right in the middle of the game park, then you cut out all that and you can make best use of your time.
Can you tell us a little bit about the fleet that is employed by SafariLink?
Yes, we have 8 Cessna Caravans, which have a maximum of 12 passengers. We operate with a 2 crew. We also have a Twin Otter, which has maximum 18 passenger seats with 2 crew, and a Dash 8, which has 35 passenger seats with 2 crew. And the Caravans particularly are the ones that we use into the game parks, because they're a fixed, without going too technical, they're a fixed undercarriage aircraft, which makes them very rugged. And most of the airstrips in the game parks are not paved. By paved, I mean tarmacked. They are what we call Murram airstrips, dirt airstrips, and they can be a bit bouncy, a bit rough. So these are ideal that we can use those aircraft into all the game parks that we go to. It's a unique experience flying into the bush flying as we call it. For example, when you take off from Wilson, you actually, as soon as you leave the perimeter of the airport, the perimeter fence, you're actually over Nairobi National Park. So immediately you've got the opportunity to see some game as you climb out. And I've seen giraffe and other animals, rhino, very close to the perimeter fence. When you get out into the bush area, it's often difficult for the tourist to pick out where the airstrip is, because it's not a big like a Dubai airport with lots of lights and all the rest. If you're lucky, there'll be a few white stones down the side of the airstrip, and you can almost see the amazement on the faces of the passengers as they come into land. And you'll often see animals adjacent to the runway. And of course, in migration period, which runs from July through till early October, we have hundreds of thousands of wildebeest and zebra in the Masai Mara area, and it's not uncommon for us to have to go round, not land, and then the lodge where we're landing sends a vehicle out and clears the animals off the runway. You're really close to nature, and you get some fantastic views, and it's so much it's a unique experience to see all the animals beneath you as you're coming in and across, and the scenery in Kenya is fantastic, particularly in the north, where we've got some very rugged areas, some semi-desert, and then the rivers, and Mount Kenya, of course. And if you go to Amboseli, you've got that unique Mount Kilimanjaro as a backdrop. We've all seen the pictures of the elephants against the backdrop of Mount Kilimanjaro. Very evocative, and just is Africa summed up.
What would be your opinion about the marketing and promotional activities taken by Kenya Tourism Boards, Kenya Airways, other government organizations in promoting Kenya as a tourist destination around the world?
I'm a big supporter of Kenya Tourist Board. I think they do an excellent job. They don't have enough money, and I would like to see the government release a lot more to them to make a positive impact compared to South Africa Tourist Board, which gets orders of magnitude more than the Kenya Tourist Board does. They're very professional. Kenya Airways does a great job as well with its in-flight magazines and videos on in-flight entertainment. The root of the problem is we need more money to spend on it, because tourism is in the top 3 of foreign exchange earners for Kenya. It is also one of the biggest employers, and for every one person that's actually employed by the tourist industry, he's probably supporting 6 to 10 other people, family, relatives, friends. So it's a massive multiplying factor to have people employed in the industry. It's also how can I put it, the smaller suppliers, a hotel or a lodge will buy vegetables, tomatoes from the local supplier. So the knock-on effect is phenomenal.
Lastly, how Business Guide Africa has been published for the last 18 years from Dubai, trying to promote bilateral trade and tourism ties between Middle East and Africa. How do you see the role of Business Guide Africa in promoting travel and tourism ties between Africa and the Middle East?
I think it's difficult to sort of say what would be the immediate effect of it. I think that what you're having is that if somebody in the Middle East has access to directories that give them contacts, where to go, what to look at, it's all part of giving them that information, making it available, easily available, so that they can make up their mind if they want to come and have a look and where they can go, what the options are. They may do it. There's an increasing number of people making their own arrangements for safaris. Traditionally, it was always done through a tour operator, travel agent. Nowadays, the younger generation go online, they look in directories online, they have a look and try and put it together all themselves. And that trend will increase, inevitably. It's just the way that things are going in the world nowadays.
So what we hear in the background is one of your flights leaving for probably Masai Mara. So how would you invite our Middle East travelers to be on that flight?
Yeah. Just take the opportunity. Because of the recent problems in Kenya, which has led to some travel advisories, most tour operators, lodges and hotels are offering very special rates, and I'm sure that's going to go on till probably to the end of June next year. So come now, don't miss out.
Thank you, Mr. John, for taking the time to do this interview, and we wish you luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much indeed for coming to see us.